think one of the most important pieces of world building will be the illusion or the immersion of the world that you're in. And one of those things that really helps with that illusion or immersion would be the use of NPCs. NPCs are obviously important to any TTRPG. They're quest givers, tavern keepers, shop owners, and more that interact with the players in your world to just make it feel alive. If you use NPCs appropriately, you could take almost any setting or location that you're in and give the illusion of a living world. In fact, some of the best moments that I've had playing tabletop role-playing games has been our interactions with NPCs. So how exactly do I use NPCs in my games? Well, that's a bit of a loaded question, but I'll try to keep it simple. In short, I use two types of NPCs. The first type of NPC that I use are my primary NPCs that are going to be a little more fleshed out than your, civilians or secondary NPCs. These are going to be your kings, your lords, your quest givers, and other NPCs that might be vital to the story, or maybe they're just reoccurring in your game. With these types of NPCs, I like to flesh out their appearance, their mannerism, accents, backstories, and more because chances are your players are going to interact with them more than once. If your players continue to engage with these NPCs over the course of an adventure, then the connection between your players and these NPCs is just going to get stronger and make them feel more alive and more like they're part of this world. And trust me, your players will probably really appreciate the time and effort you put into the NPC details. And then the second type of NPC that I use is going to be my secondary NPCs. These are going to be the type of NPCs that are just kind of like made on the fly if I need. If your party is going to a tavern that they're likely never going to return to, I personally don't like to flesh out like all the finer details like I would with a primary NPC. So again, when I'm doing my world building, I like to keep my preparation for my secondary NPCs pretty simple. For example, let's take a town called Norwood that I have in the continent of Elvenglade. It's a small village with some diners and maybe a population of like 100 people. In this village, I would have my primary NPCs, which wouldn't be as many as secondary NPCs, and they're going to be the people that my party is going to engage with on a recurring basis. But I would also make sure to have a good handful of secondary NPCs just kind of on a list for on-the-fly use. I try to keep them simple so that way I can improvise if needed. For example, I might list like 10 to 15 names. I would have their race, their gender, their age, their occupation, and just maybe like a small fun fact about them. And that's about it. Now, some DMs and GMs like to flesh out more details for their secondary NPCs because they find it fun, and that's fine. Again, me personally, I just kind of like to keep things simple for my secondary NPCs. Not only because it saves a little bit of time, but as a DM and GM, I like to come up with stuff on the fly to keep me on my toes. Because again, some of the most fun that I've had playing D&D and other TTRPGs is role-playing and doing stuff on the fly. And also, I think we all know this, no matter how much preparation that you have, sometimes your players are going to do things that you just didn't expect or plan for. So that's it, just wanted to do a quick little video. I was thinking about NPCs today, and I just wanted to kind of give a little snippet about how I use them in world building. If you want to talk to me more about world building or see how I go about using NPCs when I do world building, then we do our world building streams every Wednesday at 9 p.m. EST live right here on YouTube. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Cantripcast.